all of these windows, these 4 large windows that we're doing, have a 3-inch rope design that is bringing a border all the way around these windows. Now, as you can see, I've started numbering this in. So once I get this numbered, I'm going to be sharing with you some other windows, but this window is being numbered today. And then we're going to, because we have to build 2 of them, then we're going to enclose it in some clear contact paper on the front side and the back side, because we don't want to ruin the pattern, because we do have 2 windows to build. And this is the part of the Marsh Walk. So this is one of the restaurants that's along the Marsh Walk here. And then we have another restaurant, 2 restaurants that'll be in this drawing right here that I'm getting ready to finish up. And then to my right, your left in the video, is another restaurant along the Marsh Walk. This Marsh Walk faces the sunrise in the morning. So we have, if you can imagine the glass on the restaurants, the wood and everything, and how the reflection from when the sun comes up, all the oranges and yellows and purples and everything that they have in the morning. And then if you can imagine directly behind all the restaurants where all these beautiful oak trees are sitting and everything along this Marsh Walk is their sunset in the evening. So, y'all, we have a whole lot to work with, and we've got a lot of beautiful glass that we're going to be sharing with you. So I wanted to bring you over here to this side of the stained glass studio, because this is where the, this would be your left, my right. This is the end section of the window. So this particular section that we're doing has actually 5 sections. Has 3 large sections, this width right here, that are 68 and 5/8 by 36. And then of course we have our 3-inch rope border. And then, you know, all under here, this is the marsh. This is our Marsh Walk. This is just one of the restaurants down there that we've just was so colorful we had to use it in our project. We're going to be cutting stained glass on the light box using what's called the Old English method. And y'all, this is my favorite way to cut glass, especially opaque glass, is to cut it right on the light box. We're here in the glass studio, and we've started on our Merle's Inlet project. Today I'm working on cutting out the water underneath of the dock. So I had a little bit of a dilemma. I was trying to figure out, because you know the background of the sign that says Snug Harbor is wood. So I thought, well, what can I use? But then I have all this beautiful glass that we used in the background of it. So I'm going to make it the wood on all of the docks all the way through the entire process of this Marsh Walk window. We're using a Kokomo 70 for the water, and I've got some of it cut right here, and you can, Barb will pan in on it and let you see it. So some of the glass is cut, some of the pylons are cut for the dock, and then of course there'll be more pylons being cut, you know, like right here. They'll be going that way. This is our water here, so I'm just going to give you a quick shot so you see what it looks like with the light behind it, and then we're going to take and let you see what it looks like with the light on it, with no light behind it. So you can see that we're trying to achieve a look that looks both good day and night within the restaurant. You know, there's a sunset behind the restaurants every evening facing the fronts of the restaurants that are facing east or the right-hand side. We're going to do the sky with a sunset across the top of the trees that are in the larger windows. So this, right below the Snug Harbor, is going to be a lot of that Armstrong orange that I showed you. That. So remember, while we're cutting the glass, we're staying on the inside of that black line of the piece of glass that we're cutting. All right, now we have a point right here, okay? So we're gonna turn this around and we're gonna break this from the end that we have the point. Don't grab it with your grousing pliers right near the point. You wanna grab it about 1 inch back and pull down gently. Again, start that run and then move your grousing pliers down, but stay behind the run and pull down and just go work your way right across. let's enjoy this in the light for a moment, because it sure is going to be pretty. Now, if you notice, this sheet also has the same orange or brown swirled in it with the white, but it also has the blue that's in the water. So this is going to do a lot of things for us. And we're going to be using about this much of this sheet. So we're going to take about 2 strips off at about 7 inches. So we're finishing up. We've got all of our sky is cut out. Everything's cut out. Now I'm just cutting out these colors that are behind the dock and at the end of the dock where they meet up with the water that's coming down and coming up. So this is looking pretty good, y'all. Just like with any project, your square and your project being square is the most important part. I have drawn my pattern, and my outside lines here represent the finished line of the design. This inside line right here is in 3/16 of an inch, and this is what I'm going to do. I've anchored this piece on my pattern on the line where I want. I'm taking my square and I'm going to line my wood up right here on my line, and then I'm going to slide my square over where I want it. And I'm going to make sure that this square stays exactly where it needs to be. Now, we're going to take, and this end gets screwed down. I'm left-handed. I prefer to work from the left to the right. So as I'm working with these leaded windows, I'm starting here on the corner. That's right, Mary. I start on this corner, and I work my way all the way to this corner so that I'm kind of going just like this, all the way up, bottom to top at the diagonal. So let's get this piece of channel laid down so it doesn't move, so that we can get this process started. Our square is exactly where it needs to be. So just a small framing square like this, get your window started. And now we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna show you how to stretch some lead. This is a lead vise. So your lead actually goes in there by about 1 inch. I usually just push it down a little bit. I use the Stanton stretcher. So you hold down because it has a lead vise attached to it. So you just kind of hold down on that. This is our 3/8 lead. Watch this. It just jumped right up. And we stretch it about 3 inches. That's it. Look how strong that got by stretching it. So by stretching it, we're making our lead a little more rigid, but we're also making sure that it doesn't stretch when the window's built. So now we're back over to our pattern. So I've stretched our lead, and remember, this is 3/8 flat H. This particular window and all the windows on this job are going into a 3/4 inch square stop that's going to hold them in. So we're doing I think we're doing the right thing. We're using 3/8. It's a common lead, and I can also use it in a lot of other windows or window designs. So I've got my Lepinette lead nippers, and I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a pair of these, you're going to love them if you get a pair. Go to our website, check it out, and your Lepinette lead nippers. So what we're going to do is, first off, we're going to cut this. I've got it a little bit longer than the pattern. We're going to cut this off. We'll set this over here for right now. So our lead nippers have pretty much squared this off. But what I'm going to do is kind of lay them a little bit sideways and then go straight down. Now what that did, that squared that up for me. We're going to square this up with our square edge, and then we're going to cut and cut. So we'll start this down here at the bottom. And we'll just put this right there. You can imagine how many pieces we have. This is just the bottom border, rope border here. Now sometimes you may need to get that little tiny bit right there on that edge bent. You can do that by using your grousing pliers, not really squeezing the pliers, but bending the lead so that you don't leave a mark on the lead. You're just gonna hold the lead, and then you'll bend the lead with your hand. We're getting our little pieces of lead, little 4 or 5. I believe it's 6 inches. And so we're using that, and we're cutting each individual miter, making sure that it fits nice against the 3/8 lead. And then we're also making sure that when it comes up around the other edge, that it's gonna fit nice right in this area here as well. So a little bit of a bump right there And then we're gonna turn this and get a little bit of an angle right there. So now we're gonna take in, we got number 7 here. And these just fit right inside the lead. Well, if you're doing lead work, and like I've done here on this window, is I've brought this color over here and I've turned all the numbers up, kind of like turning your pieces of your puzzles up so that you can see what they look like. But I've turned them up so that I can see the numbers. Because as I come across here, and I'm kind of working myself this way, I'll put 37 in once I get this vertical piece done. And I've changed lead profiles. Went from a 7/32 along the water line all the way down to a 3/16, which is going in between these. And then we're gonna have drop back to a little bit heavier up here because this is a little bit larger portion of the dock. So about soldering is that it's really fun because you know you're like that far from finishing. This is the right temperature that I have dialed in on my soldering iron control. When you get it just right, you don't have to worry about things such as your lead melting, things, you know, you're not gonna have to worry about all of that. So what we wanna do is make sure that we get that just right. But I do use ruby flux, and you can see it's a beautiful red color because this is a clear jug. So here we are, we're soldering up the snug harbor window. And we're making sure, just like we show in our videos, that if you have a T, then your solder joint should look like a T. If you have a Y, your solder joint should look like a Y. It just looks so much better when you do that. Even right here on the side where you have 2 different lead profiles. We want to make sure that this looks like a T. Like that. And we don't want to build the solder up so high on the outside of the lead because this is where our trim's going. So we have like about a 3/4 inch trim that goes around this. So if you notice, I've got the temperature of my iron just perfect for working with this lead because I can take it, and I like to use my touch and go method when I'm doing lead as well. I like to get some solder down there. 1, 2, pick straight up. Here we go again. Solder, 1, 2, pick straight up. Look at that joint. I mean, it's exactly how it's supposed to be. Because you go straight down, pick straight up. And on this, we have kind of like a T. So we're gonna do the same thing except in the open. Here we go, ready? Solder, 1, 2. But I want you to look at my tip after I clean it. See that pretty gold color? 1, 2, straight up. Here we go, ready? Here we go. Soldering lead, 1, 2. Get the temperature right, everybody, and you can just mosey right on. So even though my table tilts, this window is small enough for me to pick up and flip it over. And if you notice, there's a lot of horizontal lines in here, but this thing didn't flex at all. It's because of the construction and how we did it. These long pieces of lead running horizontally here are helping everything, along with the way the lead is run through the water, through the sky. It all adds to the structural integrity of the window. We just covered up the snug harbor copper foil section of the window here because we're gonna get ready to start puttying this. So that's the consistency of my glazing compound. The recipe is on our website. If you'll use that glazing compound recipe, that glazing recipe, you're gonna see here in just a minute how easy it cleans up and how quick that we can flip this over and start the other side. So here we go. Now I like to, when I'm puttying, I like to work in a circular motion because then I'm not taking putty out of anything. And I also like to keep just going back over it and not leaving a big mess behind. You see, we started out with a big mess and then we go back and we eliminate the big mess. And we want to make sure that we do even the outside of the window because that's just as important as the inside. Okay, so we've got our coat of glazing on, and now as you can see, I've taken just a 1/4 inch dowel and I've put not a sharp point on it, but I have sharpened it. And now what we do is we go around the outside, the edge, and we're gonna cut all this away. And this doesn't take that long to do. So what this does is just trims everything up and eliminates putty from around the edges that we don't need. Now, once we get this finished, we're gonna take what's called an acid brush. And this is my acid brush right here, okay? So first thing I'll do is I'll move the putty that I've scraped away off to the side. And then I'm going to show you, if we take our lead and in a circular motion, we're not removing any putty. But we're cleaning the glass. I'm just taking it and we're gonna brush it off to the side. And I have a small vacuum cleaner here in the shop, in the studio, that I'll take and I'll clean all this up